one of the questions already, but do you think
It's citizen journalism.
yes, sir. Well, another part is should reporters or journalists blog? But do you think, sir, as a blogger, because the mere nature of blogging is that you can be biased towards your subjects. You think reporters should still stick to journalistic standards when they blog?
No, I think they should.
Mm.
And I think, well, even when, let's say you're a reporter for a newspaper, I mean, you have certain biases.
Mm.
And one of the things that what we've been warned about when we're as journalists is that we must try to transcend those biases. I think the same principle applies in blogging. In other words, try to transcend your biases, respect the facts. Uh, what if you're involved in argument or informing opinion, then the opinion must be based on sound information and all those things, with which we are all familiar in print and broadcast journalism.
Do you think, sir, right now a lot of events, both in the business and then other specific events, bloggers are starting to be invited. It seems that some peer companies, some their clients see bloggers as almost equivalent in nature as journalists. Do you think there's a risk to that, that companies or people don't see or are blurring the lines when it comes to identifying journalists and bloggers?
I think it's the same risk that you take when you invite journalists. Because, I mean, not all journalists are that great. I mean, maybe that's what you're thinking of, no? That okay, there's a risk because they might provide misinformation, or they might distort information, or they might not provide the right. They might not provide adequate analysis. It's the same risk among journalists. You invite a journalist, you're not sure either. So I don't think we should make too much of an issue of that. I think that eventually, if things continue the way they're going, if there is acceptance on the part of many sectors of bloggers, then there should be I think a process will take root in which there will be improvement all around. Of course, there will still be bloggers who may not be as responsible as others, but that's the same thing in journalism. I mean, it's a constant struggle. In other words, trying to do competent and ethical journalism is a constant struggle, and I imagine that will continue to be a struggle as well among bloggers.
So, sir, do you think bloggers, especially the ones who are not professional journalists, but they blog and they would consider themselves as citizen journalists, do you think they're also subject to the same regulatory or rather laws on libel, on freedom of speech, when they blog? Because for some of them, because they don't represent a specific newspaper or publication or company, um, when someone approaches them or charges them with libel, do you think they could use the same laws protecting journalists?
Well, I'm not particularly fond of the libel law, but I think that everyone who is involved in expression should have the protection afforded by the Constitution to free expression. So I think bloggers are entitled to the same protection just as journalists and everybody else is entitled to the protection of free expression. On the matter of libel, I think I mean, the thing is that the libel laws are different in various societies. It's different in ours. Ours is a throwback from the colonial period, American colonial period, and I think it's archaic. In the Philippine setting, there has to be a different libel law which will recognize that you can abuse your audience, that all forms of expression can abuse their audiences, but that they must be fair. So until such a libel law comes into being, I'd say that right now I don't think there's any libel law that should be applied to anybody. what we have to do is to reform the libel law. As far as the protection of free expression is concerned, I think everybody is entitled to that. Particularly those who have to deal with, who have to talk about public issues. So that includes bloggers as well as journalists.
So, sir, as a last question, do you think because people are getting more empowered with technology, they could report on issues within their comfort zone, their how do you call this, communities? Do you think the journalists are being challenged by the speed of which people can start reporting about an issue that they've seen and post in their blogs and then start spreading it to other people?
No, definitely. I think that's what's happening, and some journalists are responding. And if they don't, I think they will become irrelevant. And I think it's correct that journalists are responding to that challenge, because what we're seeing through blogging is a growth in the capacity of people to provide information, to analyze, and then to engage in a conversation. And that, I think, is a democratizing process. So it should be welcomed by both journalists as well as anyone else who's interested in seeing a society in which people are well informed. But the thing is, however, every one of us, whether journalists or bloggers, have a certain responsibility to see to it that we don't poison the well of public opinion. That's why everyone has to, I guess, more or less, okay, if bloggers don't want to adopt the standards of journalism, then they must develop their own, I mean, to assure the integrity of the information that they provide.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
Okay.